I'm deep into Avowed, and I'm really liking it. Today, I want to talk about 5 reasons you should play it and 4 things I wish were a bit better. I don't waste your time with endless information you don't need, so let's dive straight in. You can find timestamps in the description. The combat is really good for this type of game. Pure action games might have better combat, but for an action RPG that's basically the Outer Worlds meets Skyrim, this is an evolution. You're no longer just pressing buttons to trigger stats behind abilities. You're actively dodging, timing, and combining your attacks with those from your party members. Strikes feel like they have actual weight, thanks to both the audio and the animations. I know some people called it repetitive, but I think that's because they played on normal. I'm pretty sure this is the case because when I listened to Mortismal's review, I didn't hear him mention it, and he had to play on hard to 100% complete the game. There's also one issue with combat that I'll get into later. I haven't heard anyone else complain about it, which is why I think the people who say it's repetitive mostly played on normal. I'm playing on hard, and it really asks you to use all the systems. If you're not targeting weak points, thinking about resistances, and timing your abilities right, you can die in under a minute. But if you do, it becomes a fairly easy fight. That kind of difference is a perfect example of a combat system with depth, and I really like it. Exploration is another strong point. It's not at Skyrim levels since it's not open world, but there's way more than you'd expect because of the verticality. If you go off the beaten path, you'll find interesting encounters, great loot, and valuable resources. Plus, you can upgrade your resources, making it always worth doing. The story combined with the world building is another highlight. I know there are issues with how much impact your choices have, especially on relationships with party members, but the story is more overarching across chapters. The world building is strong, and I like the party members way more than I like them in either Dragon Age: The Veilguard or The Outer Worlds. I'm curious to see how the story continues, and the world feels believable, which ties it all together. Visually, it looks amazing. Sure, the facial animations aren't great, but from an art design and color palette perspective, I haven't seen much like this, and I really like it. There's also no level scaling, which I love. I want to feel more powerful, and that doesn't happen when enemies get stronger alongside me. It might not be a revolutionary RPG, but it's definitely an evolution. We don't get tons of games like this, so I'm really happy with it. Of course, if you care about different things, it might not work for you, but that's a matter of taste and expectations. Now let's talk about some of the things I like less. The biggest combat issue is that archers constantly chip away at your health, and there's no clear indication that arrows are coming unless you're staring right at them. This makes you super dependent on the tiny radar to track all enemies, which can get annoying. It's not a huge issue since you learn to check the field first, but still. I also wish there were more gear options. You spend most of your time upgrading the gear you have. That's fine, but I prefer when there are more distinct pieces with different stat boosts. There are some, just not a huge amount. Early on, you don't have a lot of damage options, which makes you less flexible. For example, my main attack deals poison damage, and Marius's does too. That makes fighting skeletons, which are immune to poison, a pain. On hard, I feel like you're forced to do most of the side quests to keep up in levels. It's nice that you can still outlevel some enemies a bit, but I wish there were more ways to get there. Avowed doesn't do anything revolutionary, but why should it? It's a very good action RPG with great combat, an interesting story, and strong vertical exploration. There are some things I don't love, but none of them ruin the experience. Are you playing Avowed? Let me know in the comments. If this video was helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.